There is a moment, often fleeting, that carries the weight of 1,000 unspoken words. It happens in doorways, in parking lots after a long day, or in the quiet of a living room. It is the moment a woman decides to hug you. And in that single gesture, if you know how to read it, is a map of her entire inner world. But here's the thing most people miss. It is rarely about the physical act itself. It is about permission. It is about a fortress lowering its drawbridge for one person, and one person only. We tend to think of a hug as a simple greeting or a casual goodbye, a reflex. But psychologically, for a woman, the embrace is a vastly more complex transaction. It is a risk assessment completed in a fraction of a second. When she steps into your space, she is violating a primal biological rule. Every nerve ending in her body is designed to detect threat, to maintain a safe perimeter. To cross that line voluntarily is to signal, with absolute clarity, that you are not a threat. You are the opposite of a threat. You are sanctuary. Think about the different types of embraces you have received or witnessed. There is the stiff, pat-on-the-back hug between acquaintances. That is a social contract, a performance. The bodies touch, but the energy does not. It is a hug of politeness, a shield. But the hug we are talking about, the one that lingers in your memory, is the one where the shield drops. It is the full body commitment. Her arms go around your neck or your waist, and for a few seconds, she allows herself to be smaller, to be enveloped. In that moment, she is not just hugging you. She is telling you that she trusts you with her vulnerability. And this is where the psychological depth begins. A woman's hug is often an archive of her feelings. It can say, "I missed you," without uttering a sound. It can say, "I am exhausted by the world, and you are the only place I can put down my armor." It can say, "I am sorry," in a way that words could never capture. But it can also be a test, a subtle, subconscious probe. She is gauging your response. Are you present? Are you stiff? Do you pull away too soon? Or do you hold her with the same unspoken understanding? Your reaction in those 3 seconds can either deepen her trust or build a wall you didn't even know was there. There is a hidden language in the duration. A brief hug, where she pulls back first, often indicates a moment of connection that she is not yet ready to fully inhabit. It's a peek over the wall. But a hug where she is the last to let go, that is a confession. It is her saying, "I need this. I need you." It is a moment of profound surrender. For a species that prides itself on control, on words, on logic, this is one of the purest forms of communication we have left. It bypasses the cerebral cortex and speaks directly to the older, more primal brain, the part that knows safety before it knows reason. But here's what most people don't realize. The most powerful part of the hug isn't the pressure of the arms. It's the tilt of the head. Watch closely. When a woman rests her head against your chest or tucks it into the curve of your neck, she is doing something deeply symbolic. She is turning off her primary threat detection system. The neck is one of the most vulnerable areas of the human body. It houses the carotid artery, the jugular, the windpipe. To expose it to someone is the ultimate act of trust. It is a biological white flag. It says, "I am defenseless here, and I am not afraid because you are here." That single movement contains more trust than any love letter ever could. We must also consider the context of the modern world. Women navigate a society that often treats their bodies as public property, as objects to be looked at, commented on, or taken. Every day is a series of small negotiations for personal space. So, when she chooses to give that space away freely, to you, it is a gift of immense value. It is her saying, "You are not like the rest. You are in my world, not as a visitor, but as a resident." She is giving you a piece of her autonomy and trusting you not to exploit it. Imagine a woman who has had a terrible day. She has been managing crises, managing people, managing emotions. She walks through the door and she doesn't want solutions. She doesn't want a recap. She wants a hug. But it's not just comfort she's seeking. She is seeking a reset. When you hold her, you are physically absorbing the tension she has been carrying. Her shoulders drop. Her breathing syncs with yours. This is not a metaphor. This is physiology. The pressure of a hug releases oxytocin, the bonding hormone, and lowers cortisol, the stress hormone. You are quite literally healing her, and she knows it. That's why she comes to you. Not for advice, but for healing. There is a darker, more complex layer to this as well. For some women, the act of hugging can be an act of reclamation. If she has a history where her boundaries were not respected, every hug she gives as an adult is a conscious choice. It is her asserting control. I choose who touches me. I choose when and how. If she hugs you, she is giving you a piece of history she has rewritten. She is telling you that you are part of her new, safe narrative. To be chosen for that hug is to be honored in a way that requires no ceremony. Then there is the hug of passion, which is a different beast entirely. It is often mistaken for a simple prelude to intimacy, but watch the eyes beforehand. The hug of passion is about claiming. It's a full body press that says, "You are mine, and I am yours. And for this moment, the rest of the world does not exist." It is less about safety and more about possession, but a mutual possession. It is electric because it is a promise. It says, "I am not going anywhere, and I don't want you to either." But what about the hug of goodbye? Not the casual one, but the one that happens when a relationship is on the edge. That hug is often a desperate attempt to hold on to something that is slipping through the fingers. You can feel the panic in it. The arms cling a little tighter. The body stays pressed against yours for a beat too long. It is a physical plea. It is saying, "Do you feel this? Do you feel what we are? Can we really let this go?" It is often the last honest conversation two people will ever have, spoken entirely in the language of touch. Consider the hug of reconciliation. After an argument, when pride is still raw and words are still sharp weapons, a hug can be the first step toward peace. It is a non-verbal apology. It is saying, "I don't want to be right. I want to be here, with you." It is the white flag of the heart. It disarms both parties. You cannot stay angry at someone whose heartbeat you can feel against your own. It forces empathy. It reminds you that the person you are fighting is still the person you love. There is also the hug of pure, unadulterated joy. When she receives good news and her first instinct is to find you, that hug is explosive. It is a celebration of inclusion. It says, "My joy is not complete until I share it with you." In that moment, you are not just a partner or a friend. You are the personification of home. You are where happiness goes to be made real. For men, who are often socialized to be less tactile, less physically expressive outside of intimacy, these hugs can be confusing. You might misinterpret the intensity, or conversely, miss the subtlety. A man might think a hug is an invitation to more, when in reality, it is an invitation to simply be, to be present, to be still. Learning to read the difference is the mark of emotional intelligence. If she hugs you and relaxes, she is not looking for you to escalate. She is looking for you to be a harbor. If you push for more in that moment, you are effectively kicking her out of the harbor and back into the storm. The most misunderstood hug is perhaps the one a woman gives a man who is hurting. Society tells men to be stoic, to suffer in silence. But when a woman sees through that facade and she wraps her arms around him, she is doing something revolutionary. She is giving him permission to feel. She is creating a safe space where he can drop the mask, just for a second. This hug says, I see you. I see the weight you carry. You don't have to carry it alone right now. For a man who has been told his whole life that he must be the rock, being held like he is something precious can be a profoundly disarming and transformative experience. It is a language of reciprocity. The best hugs are a conversation. She leans in, you open up. She holds on, you hold on tighter. She sighs, you breathe her in. It is a feedback loop of safety and affection. When that loop is broken, when one person is stiff or distracted, the message is clear. It says, I am here, but I am not here. And that can be more hurtful than a harsh word. Because a distracted hug is a rejection of the gift she just offered. We must also consider the hug of a woman who is falling in love. It is tentative at first, almost questioning. It tests the waters. But as the feeling solidifies, the hugs change. They become more confident. They linger. There is a proprietary nature to them. She fits herself into the curves of your body like she belongs there, because in her mind, she already does. These early-stage love hugs are addictive. They are filled with potential, with the electricity of discovery. Every one is a question and an answer all at once. And then there is the hug of a woman who has loved you for a long time, years. This hug is quieter. It requires no grand gesture. It is the hug she gives you while you are making coffee, or when you come to bed. It is efficient in its tenderness. It says, you are my habit, the best kind of habit. It is the comfort of a well-worn path. It lacks the frantic energy of new love, but it possesses a depth that new love cannot fathom. It is the hug of shared history, of inside jokes, of surviving storms together. But to receive any of these hugs correctly, you must be an active participant. You must be present. Put down your phone. Stop thinking about work. For those few seconds, the universe should consist of nothing but her in your arms. That presence is the gift you give her in return. It validates her choice to lower the drawbridge. It tells her, I see the gift you are giving me, and I cherish it. That is the unspoken contract of the embrace. Think about the women who have hugged you in your life. Your mother, perhaps, whose hug was your first experience of safety. A friend who held you when you were grieving. A lover who made you feel like you were the only man in the world. Each one was a different dialect of the same language. They were all telling you something about the state of their relationship with you and with themselves. It is a tragedy that in our hyperverbal world, we often overlook this silent language. We are so busy talking, texting, explaining, that we forget to just feel the people we are with. A hug cuts through all that noise. It is the truth serum of human connection. You cannot lie in a hug. You can fake a smile. You can fake a compliment. But the tension in your back, the distance you keep, the shortness of the embrace, it all tells the real story. So, the next time a woman hugs you, do not treat it as a routine gesture. Recognize it for what it is, a moment of profound honesty. Ask yourself, what is she saying? Is she seeking shelter? Is she sharing joy? Is she offering comfort? Is she saying goodbye? The answer is not in her words, but in the weight of her body against yours, in the sigh you feel more than you hear. We spend our lives searching for connection, for someone who understands us without a script. We look for it in conversations and in grand romantic gestures. But often, it is right there, in the simple, radical act of two people holding on to each other. It is the moment when two separate entities, for a brief, shining moment, become one. It is a reminder that we are not meant to be islands. We are meant to be touched, to be held, to be known. And the most beautiful part? It is a language everyone can learn. It requires no degree, no special training. It only requires a heart that is open and a mind that is present. It requires you to stop thinking and start feeling, because in the end, when you strip away all the complexities of relationships, all the arguments and the making up, all the words and the silence, what remains is this simple truth. We all just want someone whose arms feel like home. The next time you are in a crowded room, look at the couples, watch them. You will see the truth of their relationships, not in how they talk to each other, but in how they touch each other, or don't. You will see the couple who barely makes contact, going through the motions. And then you will see the couple where she rests her hand on his knee, or he pulls her close for a quick, almost unconscious squeeze. That is the real relationship. That is the language being spoken when no one else is listening. And in the quiet moments, when you are alone with her, and she steps forward and wraps her arms around you, remember this. She is not just hugging you. She is telling you a story about trust, about fear, about hope, about love. It is the only story that matters. The question is, are you listening? Because in that single, silent gesture, she has given you the keys to her heart. What you do with them, in those precious seconds, will define everything. It will determine if the fortress remains open, or if the drawbridge is slowly, quietly, raised once more. The choice, as always, is in how you hold her, and in how you hold the moment. For it is in the arms, not in the words, that the deepest truths of the human heart are finally and irrevocably revealed.